I'm staying on the other side of the screen because every day it's just like I feel like it's just I'm a hamster in a wheel. Welcome, everybody. My name's Stuart Brisgell. That's David Solomon. This is a podcast called The Rant Network, where we give you unfiltered, uncensored conversation on a wide range of topics. We dedicate this on giving a platform for ideas and share thoughts and experiences from a variety of perspectives. It seems that we only have one, but really we don't. Join us as we dive into the latest news, pop culture, politics, so much more for rants about absurdity or groundhogism to modern life, deeper issues affecting society. Sit back, relax. Here we go. David, Groundhog Day. You know, I remember that movie as clear as day. Everyone thought it was a joke, but you know, David, I'm just speechless. You know, from the absurdity what goes on in American politics to the absurdity that goes on Canadian politics to the absurdity of the world condemning Israel for defending itself as much as people praising the incidents of October 2nd, 7th. What do you got to say, Dave? Because I'm just speechless.
Yeah, no, me too. I'm kind of at a point where I have no idea what to do anymore. And talking to people almost 4 straight weeks. Saturday will, this is the end of the fourth week of this wonderful. And I put this in quotation. I know people will be saying, "What do you mean wonderful?" I say it's a wonderful incident for anti-Semites. It's a wonderful incident for the Israel haters. It's a wonderful, incident for, the president of Turkey and Erdogan, who condemned Israel after he slaughtered Armenians without cause. It was a wonderful day for Vladimir Putin, who slaughtered Ukrainians in ways that we cannot imagine, almost as bad as Hamas. But he's celebrating it because he now can condemn Israel and deflect all the blame to somebody else. It's a wonderful day for China, who decided to erase Israel from their online maps because it's, again, let's blame Israel for what's wrong in this world. Oh, and it's a wonderful day for the Democratic Party. And this week made me ill. Rashida Tlaib, a Michigan Democrat, who stood up and continues to believe that Israel bombed the hospital, blamed Israel for, of course, everything that's wrong in Palestine, quote unquote, continues to quote the so-called is Hamas-controlled health ministry in the Gaza, who continues to scream about the 9-10 millions of Palestinians dying every single day. And when the vote came to Congress brought by Marjorie Taylor Greene to force a censure on accusing Tlaib of anti-Semitic activity, after she voiced her, quote, concern over U.S. supplying arms to Israel and called for the lifting the blockade, ending the occupation, dismantling the apartheid system that creates the suffocating dehumanization and conditions that lead to resistance. It's the most vile statement put out by an anti-Semite, but a great summary of why the haters of Israel continue to spew this hate. Stuart, it makes me ill to know that 23 Republicans sided with the Democrats to kill the censure. I mean, we don't have a reason. They didn't give it, but I believe that the reason was because the Democrats wanted to hit back at the Republicans to censoring Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, accountability and responsibility of your words don't seem to matter in Congress. It doesn't seem to matter to leaders of the free world or the non-free world. They could say what they want. I'm mad today because the president of the United States is sending his dipshit Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, to tell Israel, we need a ceasefire for humanitarian purposes. And you've got, on Wednesday, we talked about how Hillary Clinton warned that the only people benefiting from a ceasefire is Hamas. And yet, the stupidity of the world prevails. Why? Because we're afraid? Because we're afraid of the reaction? You know how ill I was when the question was put out by Peter Doocy of Fox News of what is the administration going to do about anti-Semitism on campus and around the United States that's rising at an enormous rate? And the answer was, we're going to deal with Islamophobia. Stuart, I'm ranting and raving today because I am angry. Because obviously, humanitarianism, the 240 hostages are still forgotten. The media continues to forget them. People are ripping posters down of their faces any chance that they can get all over the world because they're not humans. The 240 captives are not humans, Stuart. They're Jews, more than likely. So Jews are vermin. That's how the world is treating these 240. All they care about is fake Palestinian news that they continue to spew. That Hamas is a valid militant organization? No way. Stuart, I've been talking for 4.5, 5 minutes straight, and I can go on for another 2 hours on how hypocritic this world is towards Jews. But God forbid we were to talk about genderism, homosexuality,
Yep.
transgender. In the same way, if we swap Jew for transgender today, oh my God, what would happen? But the Jew is still vermin in the eyes of the world. What do you think, Stuart?
You know what? You know what, David? I'm going to say some things. We have some friends and family that these comments may be hurtful to, so I apologize in advance. Gays for Hamas, transgender for Hamas, women's rights for Hamas. Okay. Jews for Hamas.
Oh, yeah.
David, it's Groundhog Day. I can't tell you how ridiculous this sounds. I would like anyone that says anything for Hamas, go visit not Gaza, not the West Bank. I want you to take your Western, more than likely white privilege ass, and I want you to go to Turkey, Syria, Iran, Iraq, the oasis of the Middle East. And I want you to be your Western, arrogant, stupid self. I want you to bring your wife or your husband and your children. And I want you to stay there for 30 days. But remember, you have to be the free Western asshole that you are here. I'd like to know if you survived 30 days not getting beaten, stoned, burned, or maybe even incarcerated. Because their life isn't the Western way. Conversely, go to Israel, and all you hear is Sababa, let's have coffee, let's have drink, let's have dance. And that's not Jews. Those are Israelis. What are Israelis? 132 countries of people. It is a melting pot of not only ideas, but of religion. You have Muslims, you have Buddhists, you have Christians of all faith, and Jews of all faith. Believe it or not, there's all kinds of Jews. You have failed to understand that a terrorist organization telling you what's going on in the Middle East is like the criminals running the prisons. You know, you want your private security, you want a police force, you want the right to do what you want when you want and say what you want. They call that free speech, not hate speech. There isn't a double standard. And if you think there is, welcome to being a Jew in America. David, I just can't do it anymore.
Stuart, you hit on a great point, and it's the hypocrisy that I love what you just said. Freedom of religion. Can you go to Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Egypt, practice freely Christianity? Not a chance. In fact, Coptics are being slaughtered in Egypt. ISIS eliminated God knows how many different sects of Christianity.
Yep.
The world stayed silent. Not
Oh,
a
yeah.
single protest. Not a single protest. Not even from the Pope. But the Pope's calling for a ceasefire here because when he should have been his business in other places where Christians were threatened, he stayed quiet. But now when we could crap on the Jew, he opens his mouth. You know, I was in Israel this past summer, and one of the beauties of walking through the old city of Jerusalem is to see Muslims going for prayer, Christians going for prayer, Jews going for prayer, almost at the exact same time. There's a point in Jerusalem, Stuart, where you could see the Western Wall below you. You hear the muezzin calling people for prayer to the Dome of the Rock. And behind you, you hear the church bells from the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. It is one of the most incredible sounds and feelings that you're going to find where people roam freely to practice religion freely. Instead, the Western world wants to fight for Hamas. The Western world wants to support Hamas, an organization that contradicts everything that the left fights for, the liberal media fights for. It's a fascinating thing. They believe that this is an isolated fight, that Israel is fighting these militants, not terrorists, militants called Hamas, over a strip of land barely the size of Philadelphia. And Israel's the aggressor. Israel's in the wrong.
No, David. The Israelis made them do it.
Stuart, you're right. And here's the thing, to your point. Israel is responsible for everything. Hamas got control in 2007. We've talked about this. But for the last 16 years, with the billions and trillions of dollars funneling into the Palestinian territories, it's Israel's fault that nothing's working, nothing's functioning. No water, no electricity. Israel is a suffocator. Israel's the aggressor.
What do you expect, David? You pushed all these people, these 2 million peoples in this tiny sliver of land.
You know, Stuart.
That's the argument I get. That's the argument.
Oh, yeah, no, I heard it. We pushed them. We pushed them. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, the same way you fact-checked the living hell out of Donald Trump and anything any conservative says, take the freaking time and fact-check Hamas. Okay? Fact-check Hamas. The liberal media won't do that because then it dispels everything that they have been spewing of hate for years. Universities, the same thing. Stuart, it's amazing how if they actually sat and thought for 2 seconds, they'd realize how they are actually wrong. But you can't prove you. Why admit it? So when you listen to the president of Turkey,
President of Turkey that has an airline that gives 50% off.
Stuart. Yes, except it's not just today. This is going on for years, and there is a fine print. But remember, Erdogan killed Armenians.
Yeah,
China kills
Uyghurs.
Syria killed its own people.
Russia kills its own people.
How many protests have you seen where they're crossing the Brooklyn Bridge? How many protests have you seen in London where there are hundreds of thousands of people condemning Russia, China, Iran, Turkey? None. But the Jew defends himself after being slaughtered in the Holocaust some 80 years ago and is condemned by the world. Let me quote the vice president of Federation CJ here in Montreal. Politely, I'm going to tell you, fuck you. If you condemn Israel with that in mind, Stuart's right. Please go visit Gaza.
Guys, that's all for today's episode. Thank you for tuning and listening to the Rant Network. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. We hope you enjoyed the conversation, got some insight. We appreciate your support. Hope you'll join us next time. In the meantime, follow us on social media, download our podcast. David,